And we are getting some more of those new details in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. At that press conference just a few minutes ago, authorities said they've recovered a weapon, which they described as a high-powered rifle. They also say the suspect appears to be college-aged and, in their words, blended in well with the college crowd. Let's bring in ABC's Jaclyn Lee, who's on the scene, and ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett for more. Jaclyn, what do you make of the progress that officials are saying they made here? They're literally describing this as a breakthrough, and they've twice now said that they are confident.
That's right, Diane. So yesterday, officials said they were going to find the person. They are pouring in all of their resources from the highest levels of the Trump administration and working with the FBI in tandem, as well as local officials, to get more answers and to track down the gunman. And so the fact that they were able to track his movements. They say they were able to track the person's movements up the stairwell onto the roof. They say that individual then jumped from the building, and then they eventually were able to find that high-powered rifle in the woods. They canvassed the area. They spoke with neighbors. They looked at all the surveillance videos. They asked for doorbell videos, and they say they have a very good look at the individual, but they are not releasing that information at this point, given where they are in the investigation. But they have made significant progress in the last few hours. Diane.
Brad, something else stuck out to me, too, because yesterday officials were saying that all they had was this kind of campus surveillance. All they could say was the shooter was wearing dark clothing. Today, they're saying we have good, they literally use the word good, video footage of this suspect twice, again, as I mentioned, saying that they're confident that they can track the suspect's movements. What do you make of the pieces of the puzzle that they are mentioning here? Video footage, that they have recovered the weapon here, an imprints, and so on.
So I think it may well tell you that it does take it takes time to pull up all the different videos that you might have and then to go through them. So you start with that, but let's just draw a picture here. They have a guy go up on the roof. They have video of that. They have him coming down from the roof, going into a wooded area. Apparently, at some point, I presume in the woods, discarded the weapon. Now, he probably did that he didn't want to be seen carrying a weapon running through a neighborhood or walking through a neighborhood. That weapon will give you potentially leads. Where did it come from? It could well be registered or purchased by the shooter. We'll have to see. Was it stolen? Whatever it might be, ATF, etc., will help them immediately, and they probably already know what that is. If you have maybe less so footprints initially, but certainly palm prints, if he's ever had a full set of prints where you print the entire hand. Let's say he'd been in the military or some aspect of the government or a contractor. They may have those. That's a long shot, but they may have those. But I get in the voice of both the Commissioner of Public Safety and the FBI special agent in charge that they may well already know who this guy is, that they have clear pictures of him and maybe sources of other people, or someone said, I know who that guy is. And so they're looking for him. The key here is they're not releasing the pictures, and I've been up this road before in cases, because you don't want to spook the person more than they're already aware that, hey, they may be onto my trail. In other words, you want them to sort of stay in whatever lifestyle they might be in at this point. As you run down addresses, associates, friends, their job, they've been in the military or not, whatever it might be, to draw a circle around him to catch him someplace. The concern obviously as time goes on, now we're up to not quite 24 hours, did he leave the area? If he's smart, he did. But, many times these kind of shooters, they don't do that.
Brad, they're saying this was a high-powered bolt-action rifle, and yesterday they described the shot as coming from at least 100 yards away. Does that tell you anything? Does that require a certain level of experience? Well,
it's certainly, as far as the weapon they described, something probably like an AR-15, an M4, something in that category, is that they're relatively easy to shoot. However, from 100, 200 yards away, My guess is a scope and a tripod would have helped him a lot for steadiness. But the real key, Diane, is if he was able, and sadly did, one shot that killed Charlie Kirk, that's showing some proficiency, because it's very difficult to have the breathing and the concentration to pull off one shot like that, and that's what killed the person. Does that suggest prior training? Maybe. It certainly suggests somebody who's been practicing a lot with this weapon or a weapon just like this. That's another place you're obviously going to look. You're going to go to all the gun ranges, gun shops, place they sell ammo, and ATF obviously can help them with that quickly, to see if anybody fits the profile of what they're looking for.
All right, Jaclyn Lee, Brad Garrett, thank you both.